Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to tonight's NSA Connects session on regrets, what we didn't do because of stuttering. I'm really excited tonight to be able to offer this session, and we have two amazing facilitators that are going to lead the way for us tonight. But first, I want to just go over our very basic ground rules for our Connect sessions. As I'm sure you're all aware of now, for many of you have been to many of our Connect sessions. If you're not talking, please keep your microphones on mute. When it is time to offer feedback or ask questions, there are two ways to do that. You can raise your hand physically or down on the bottom toolbar. Right about in the middle, you can see the React button down on the bottom. If you click on that, you can see the raise hand feature, and you can use that. And then there's also something there that you can choose to lower the hand. So again, we have two great facilitators tonight. I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves. And Karen is going to go first. So go ahead, Karen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karen, and I am from Houston, Texas, and I have been with the NSA and for about 4 years. Y, 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 and now goes and Maddie. Sorry.
Hey everyone, I am Maddie. I am 23 years old. I am from Mississippi. Such a fun word to say as a person who stutters. And this is Karen and I's first time, so if there's little bumps in the road, bear with us. But we are just so excited to hear from everybody. And I really wanted to talk about regrets because, unfortunately, as a person who stutters, I feel like it's a very prominent thing in my life, and I feel like it probably is for others. If not, I would love your advice. And it's just, I think it's just very uh heavy topic that a lot of people can relate to, and it could be beneficial for us to just discuss it. To start us off, what comes to mind when y'all think of regret and stuttering? For me, it's definitely like a little bit of shame and sadness, and I wasn't sure if anybody else could relate.
So for those of you that would like to share, you can do so verbally by raising your hand either way, or you can do in the chat. You can write it down as well, but we'd really like to hear from people tonight.
Bill?
Hello, I'm been around for a long time and a lifelong stutterer. Um, I think about high school and all of the stuff that I went through with in grade school and church, all of those icons that we've gone through with. And uh, I think I have less regret now because I'm looking at it through adult eyes other than um, an adolescent, and but I used to have a lot of regrets. But I think I've reconciled with that. As we get older, we begin to hopefully like ourselves more, and really, that's about how I feel. So
Thank you, Bill. Yeah, I, I'm not. I guess I'm still in my early ages, but I definitely feel the same way where I can see a little bit of me starting to get more and more confident with myself as I'm getting a little older. Samuel?
Hi, I just so I too am a person who has been suffering all my life. But I just like want to add um to the last point. No, it's not only liking ourselves, but like liking other people too, right? So I think like I guess as my experience is because you have a sense of shame, you know, it 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 kind of give it makes us look negatively on other people, and I think what I guess one of the things that in 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 my career, you know, always scared of doing presentations, um, sharing information, mentoring and stuff. Um, and and that's something that I would I would definitely you know it like the chance to go back and undo. So yeah.
And thank you for sharing that. E- I feel like we're always ashamed of how we can talk, sometimes. But um, oh, I see Arnetta, e- Arnetta has her hand up.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Netta Jones. And when I think about regrets, even to this day, I feel a major sense of anxiety and disappointment, and realizing that I can't change what happened, what choices I made back then. I mean, I really can't change it. It's something I did because that's what I was comfortable with doing. But one of the major regrets that I have is, I just could not talk on the telephone. I could not call and ask for somebody. I just, in that type of thing, and this was, now people just commonly text, but that wasn't the case back when I was growing up. And so communications was through the phone. And I look at the friendships I could have made, but I couldn't, stay in touch with people because I couldn't call them. I remember trying to reach out to someone. I was a young mother at the time, and I had met this person through a new parenting group. And, we kind of had a conversation and what have we, exchanged phone numbers. And so I decided I would call her. I could not, for the life of me, say my name. I struggled. To me, it seemed like she would have hung the phone up if she had the, sense to do it. I could not get my name out. After I finally did, I said, like some expression like, "Who, God, like somehow I I didn't even know what that was about my own self. I don't know, but I think she was so surprised to see me struggle speaking like that. She never called me back, and I never called her. and it was it wasn't just that in that instance. I mean, it was many things. I feel like I could have had a more friend base back then than I had. That's been so that's very disappointing. But you know, as you get older, life experiences does help, and it does take away a lot of that he- he- hesitancy to, step out of your comfort zone. But back then, I just wasn't doing it. So thank you.
Thank you, Netta, and she did not sound like a good friend anyway, so I think uh, Venus?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Venus. Um, and my regret was not applying for, well, not realizing the power that I had, and not applying for like the jobs that I want due to my stutter. And I'm just now realizing, because God is so intentional. And I am starting to learn who I am in Christ and how He doesn't make any mistakes. And He loves me just the way I am. He knows that I stutter, and He is going to make a way out of no way. And if I'm meant to be in those rooms, then guess what? I'm gonna be in those rooms, whether I stutter or not. And so I think Bill said it. I am walking in that confidence now. In regards to friends, I've had those friends too. I did. But I have been placed around friends in a church family who will constantly remind me, like, hey, we will sit here and wait 5 to 10 minutes, however long it take you, because we value what you say and we value what you gotta say. And that is my job too. They value what I say. And yeah, that's my story.
Thank you for sharing that. That was like um um powerful, to hear, because e- 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 I feel like once I feel sorry. I feel like I feel like I feel like once we embrace who we are, everything becomes and super easy, and that was beautiful. And beautiful what you said. I see, and hi, Brett. I see your hand up.
Hi. Everyone, my name is Brett, and my biggest regret is is also making friends and keeping friends because like all of us, I've struggled with stuttering for years, and I've made friends and lost friends over the years, and it's it 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 extremely difficult because whenever I meet a new person, I'm always terrified of how, how they're going how they're going to react, and it's like yes, it's like now I do have the have the luxury of not being able to see people's reactions, but I've heard them over the years, and that's 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 my first regret. And the 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 second one is I wish I would have found this wonderful community years ago. Like, I never knew that this was even a thing until I started attending my first chapter meeting, and it is the best d- 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 decision I have ever made. So thank you for this wonderful session, and and thank you for this wonderful community.
Thank you, Brett. We are so happy you are here, and we are all your friends here, and it was so great to uh, hear from you.
Thank you so much.
Carol?
Carol, you're on mute. And Maddie, after Carol, Tiffany Stocker will go next. She wrote in the chat, and then John. Okay. Yeah, Tiffany she couldn't find the raise hand option.
Okay.
Hello?
Okay. I'm here. Can you hear me now? All right.
We can hear
Yes.
you.
Okay. I don't have a lot of regrets, but I wish I'd learned a lot sooner that my favorite hero, Elvis, was also a person who's that would have helped me long before I found my husband, who was very supportive in the NSA. So I just thankful I have the NSA and my husband and all my wonderful friends with the NSA, long time friends. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Carol. And Tiffany is next.
Yeah.
Yes. A good evening, everyone.
I am
My name is Tiffany Stalker, and my biggest regret is two things. The first one is my biggest regret was when I was a child. Everybody at church will participate in Easter speeches and Christmas speeches, and I was the only one who backed out of it because I was first of all I was shy and I was afraid to get in front of people and speak. So I wish that I had the courage to say my Easter speech um, in front of family, family and friends. Um, the next regret that I um, regret is when I went off to college in 1999, and I wish that I knew about this awesome organization when when I was in college. I knew nothing about it. I didn't even know if it existed or not. But I wish that I was able to do public speaking and read my essays out loud in front of others, the peers in school. So when the teacher would ask me if I felt comfortable reading my essay in front of the class, you will find me somewhere hiding because I did not want to get in front of people and read. I hated reading. It was not my passion. But fast forward today, I have been I talk for a living. Okay, so I am a drug and alcohol counselor. I've been doing this for the past 20 years, working with adolescents all the way up to adults. So what I did was I told myself I am not allowing my speech impediment to hinder me from helping other people deal with mental health challenges or addiction. So I talk for a living. I love it. The people I work with, my patients, they understand. Before we even get started, I let them know. I say, "Hey, I am a counselor with a stutter. If there's anything that I need to repeat, I will." And they tell me all the time, "Oh, I didn't even know you stutter. I don't even, you don't even sound like you stutter. I said, well, yeah, I do stutter. Um, so, so yeah, so it's just an awesome feeling being a part of this organization. I'm looking forward to being able to share many more stories that I do have. I'm working on a project now, and I may need y'all help. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Hi, Tiffany. I would say, um, when um, I, I never liked and I would tell my teachers that I wasn't feeling okay because I didn't want to read at all. So I can relate to so much. E- okay, now you can go, John. So sorry for the wait. I've
Oh,
been seeing
no,
your
I'm not
hand.
sorry at all. We got to
Yeah.
hear from the amazing Tiffany.
Yeah.
That we all can connect to that. We also got to hear from Brett. No, it's all great, great stuff. Hard to follow Tiffany. But and this is a wonderful topic. So, Karen and Maddie, thank you for putting this out there. This is a great topic because it allows we who stutter to get emotional about stuff. I'm 55. I do work to manage my stutter. It's just what I do. I'm ingrained. I've had decades of experience of being able to learn how to so-called manage my stutter. It's there. Now, in a situation like that, granted, I just stutter there, but I will stutter less. My biggest regret in life is not dating earlier on, from age 25 to 35. I'm 55 now. I didn't really date. I cloaked it under, oh, I'm a workaholic. I'm working corporate marketing at Starbucks Coffee. I'm doing that. That's my calling, blah, 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 blah. And I can look back on that and realize that was an absolute horrific mistake in my life. Not putting myself out there. My stutter was stronger then, but I don't care. I'm still a human. I'm still someone needing company. I'm still someone needing companionship. I'm still someone needing love. And to reject that, I stunted myself. And that is my biggest regret because those are the formative years. I don't have a child. I'm too old now. Then I might have been able to do that. I might have been able to experience that part of my life. And I look back on that and I see that as a massive, massive miss on my life. And I connect it directly to stuttering. I connect it directly to me not being able to be mature enough to be able to say, just because I stutter doesn't mean I can't be a good father. Just because I stutter doesn't mean I can't be a good husband. Just because I stutter doesn't mean that someone else won't find me attractive. And it was awful. And I'm glad at some point in time I was able to wise up, to gain through my experience, through my stuttering journey, to realize that acceptance is key, to realize the fact that just because I stutter doesn't mean it is a speech impediment, doesn't mean that it is a speech problem. It's just my accent. It's just how I talk. And if I can be proactive on that and tell people about it, it is selfless advocacy. Because when I tell others that I stutter, they then have a better interpretation of everyone else who they may know, may not know, may come in contact with, to realize that just because I may talk a little different doesn't mean I'm shy, neurotic, nervous, or dumb. Just means that I talk a little different. Just because I'm shy, nervous, neurotic, or dumb, however they may perceive, doesn't mean that I'm unlovable. And for too long, I felt as though because I stutter, I didn't love myself. And if I didn't love myself, how could someone else love me? And so it just, to me, that is my biggest regret in life, is waiting too long to date. I got married at 45, divorced at 47, different story. But on that end, though, that is something there that I love the fact that now so many folks in their 20s have a better understanding about self acceptance, about better understanding that stuttering isn't a problem, stuttering is just a way of talking. And society has a much better understanding of stuttering. We are so much more accepting of differences that if I could go back in time, I would change things. I would date, and I would still be a good person. I just might have some other obligations there. So awesome, awesome topic tonight. Very, very good, y'all. Thank you for putting it out there. And thank everybody, Brett and Tiffany, for sharing what you've shared, and for everyone else who's going to share, because it all comes from the heart.
Oh my God. That was amazing. I am crying. But that was like really good.
Yes, John. Whenever I was in school, I can just remember how sad I felt, and I felt, why would anybody ask me to go to prom or the homecoming dance? And I didn't put myself out there, and I missed out on a lot of that because I was like, well, nobody would want to date me. I am ugly when I talk. I don't want people to look at me how I talk. So I made myself be shy, because I didn't want people to see my face when I spoke. And since I did not speak out, I didn't get any uh, dates that way. And I wish I would have been more open and accepting of myself too. It's very hard to always hide because you feel like once you hide, you're like, well, I can't let people know that I stutter now. I'm too far in. So then I really resonated with that, and thank you for putting that out there. And I know, Karen, you had something you wanted to ask, but I know you are uh still, I wasn't sure
I
if you.
know. Okay, so my God, that was a really good speech. I think was John, right? It was really powerful. But I have a question. I wanted to ask if do you uh, do you limit yourself when applying for jobs as a person who stutters? I see and Tiffany. Hi, Tiffany.
Hello, hi. Hi, for those who don't know me, I'm from Houston, Texas, and I am a chapter co-leader here too. Yeah, so after I did finish college, I would say when I was looking for jobs to apply to, I would say for sure, like I did limit myself on what I could do. Um, um, but I did ended up applying to them anyway. I just wanted to take the chance, you know. Um, um, and fast forward now, I now do a job where I am always talking to kids, to kids and parents all the time. Um, yeah, just uh, I would say try it out because you never know what the outcome could be. It's very possible. So, thank you.
And thank you for sharing, Tiffany. Eh, I feel like as a person who stutters, I I limit myself with my job options because I'm always afraid that I'm gonna fail, you know. I see Sarah's hand up.
Yes. So I just wanted to say that I still have a hard time like applying to jobs that I know that I really want to do, but I hold myself back a lot, you know, because I feel like I still get like it's just like this really big deal to just like continue to put yourself out there, and it takes so much effort, you know. So even though I've been a part of the NSA for for quite some time now, I feel like I'm still trying to undo certain coping mechanisms, and I am trying to put myself out there more. And yeah, I mean, I just wanted to publicly shout out Tiffany Docker. I was very encouraged by what you had to say about you having a job as a public speaker, because I have been considering doing that too. I've been thinking about being a certified coach. And since I don't know anybody that works in that field, you know, I feel like it's just easier to just hide behind my insecurities. So I would like to connect with you. And I've just been very encouraged by what everybody has to say. I feel like it's a big confidence booster.
Thank you, Sarah. I think you should go for it. I think you should go for it now. I mean, I think you got this, but I understand completely. Often, a lot of times, I think I'm like, I'm going good on my acceptance journey. I'm doing it. And then I'm like, oh, nope. Something made me feel ashamed again. And I was just wondering if anybody had any advice. How do you stop yourself from going back to those habits and just like your regrets? How can we learn from them? I'm right now trying to look back on my life in a more positive, like take everything that I've regretted and trying to turn it into something. Well, okay, I did not do that then, but you know, I can now. And I just was wondering if anybody else had any advice that they're currently working through. Sarah?
There I am. Okay. Um, I'm Sarah. I'm in Connecticut. I've recently, over the past few months, started the West Hartford family chapter. So it's just starting, just getting going. Uh, um, but yes. Um, um, so I'm 47 and I have years of just life and work and education experience and everything. But I mean, stuttering is like a thread that's interwoven through who I am and who I've become, and part of like the just the tapestry of everything that I am, but with everything else. Um, um, but like I have always been aware of my stuttering ever since I was like 6 and taken to a speech pathologist in school and all throughout schooling and but but I never wanted it like I never wanted it and to it to like hold me back from anything and my like challenges and struggles and like having a perception of like not feeling enough or not feeling like everyone else and just the it's so like not just physiological but like psychological too. It's so intertwined and part of your being. um I I feel um um so like I mean I still like, even though I was nervous and anxious and hyper aware, like I still gave oral presentations in school and I still, did what I had to do, but I was, super nervous and everyone knew that. But like most people were understanding and supportive. Um, um, and throughout schooling, like I have my master's degree in education and I work in a school now and I work with I mean I've had a lot of twists and turns in my career, but like I I still interact with kids and I read to them and I do and I try and be the best just daughter, wife, mom and everything, and but it's always kind of just you're always aware. It's always aware, like just and like how you feel about yourself. Um and just not the perception of like not measuring up to, others or among your family and whatever. Um but I've tried not to let it like hold me back from um just achieving my goals, no matter how long it may have taken. Um, one time I mean, like for 12 years, I worked for the state for the state, and I worked in a call center, taking claims on the phone, which was way out of my comfort zone, but it did have the benefits and cushion of working for the state, but I'm not there anymore. But so um even though uncomfortable, I just keep trying and you grow when you're out of your comfort zone and when you're uncomfortable and you just do the best that you can anyway and make the best of yourself and just keep, going through it. Um, but yes, it's hard. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That is such good advice. You grow in uncomfortable situations. And even though that's super hard, they just have to just go for it. And a lot of times I feel like as a person who's stutters, we hold ourselves back more because we're afraid of how others perceive us. But I'm tired of thinking about what he or she thinks of me. I want to know what I think of me. And, I just think that's just Kaylin. I see your hand is up.
That was great, Maddie. Thank you for that last that last little bit on caring just what you think of you. That's beautiful. I'm Kaylin. I'm from Kansas. And something that was coming up for me while people uh were sharing is my regret, and something I'm like working through right now is when I was younger, finishing up undergrad, I was basically told by an advisor that I would not make it in grad school until I figured out how to not stutter. Like just very bluntly, like it wasn't even like a, debatable. It was just like, yeah, you're gonna have to figure that out. Um, and so I kind of at the time had plans. I just assumed that's where my tr tra trajectory was going. And I didn't really realize it at the time, like how much I let that feed into my subconscious because I had other opportunities come up. And so I sort of like, maybe talked myself into thinking that that didn't affect me. And it was just I found other things to do. Um, and it's taken me a long time to like circle back, because then it like talking about this like zone of tolerance idea where like you have like your growth zone. I did an ACT stuttering therapy if anyone's familiar, so that's where this comes from. But you have like your comfort zone, and then the next ring out is your like growth zone where it's uncomfortable, and then when you go out farther, it's that overly pushing yourself, I guess. So like the discomfort of kind of being in the extreme where it's actually not growth at that point because you're too far outside of your like tolerance of growth, if that makes sense. And so that comment, coming back to that, I think kind of pushed that idea into my like too far outside of my growth zone, to where it was then like not a tolerable thing for me. Because I was already like pushing myself, pretty far at the time for what I was comfortable with. And it's taken me a long time in therapy, of course, to like get to that point of really learning to deprogram myself into like actually allowing myself to figure out what I want in life. So last year, one of my like steps within my tolerant zone was doing a yoga teacher training. And that was something I like never thought I could do, but yoga is, something that's been a part of my life for years and years. And it was a space that I was comfortable and confident in. And so it was worth it for me to like push myself in my speech for that. And through that, it's been kind of this door for opening up again to be like, okay, like what do I really want, like career and job wise? Like, is that going back to school? So, I guess just that idea of where can you push yourself, and grow in a way that's healthy and compatible with where you're at.
Thank you, Kaylin. Also, side note, I've always wanted to try yoga, so that's fun. Yeah, so, yeah, I don't know. That was awkward of me. Samuel?
Um, I just wanted to add that, as as you get older, I guess you tend to understand yourself um um a bit better, right? So I think like what I've learned as I've gotten older is that I'm stuttering. Um it 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 keeps me humble. It helps me actually to connect with people much better. It gives me a lot of patience. So I'm actually thankful for that.
And thank you so much, for sharing that, Samuel. And I see Jeremiah's.
Hello,
I mean,
everybody.
Jeremiah. Yeah. Hi.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jeremiah. I think just the advice is that we keep our chin up, and like what I mean by that is we just let the inner child live, and we openly stutter at our jobs, at church, at these other places because we don't want the next person to go through the pain and the suffering and having like to be a scared wife though. So I think just the advice is we do it for the next person so they don't feel the pain that we went through, and then they can see that okay, this person did stutter or they do stutter, but they're in church or they're a teacher or they're a counselor or they do all these jobs that people or teachers will say, okay, you can't do this, or like you shouldn't be a public speaker because you stutter wise. So yeah, I just think we do it also to heal our inner childhood and just like the trauma that comes with being a person who stutters. So yeah, I was just like reflecting wise, but it's just like yeah, we do it for ourselves, but also we do it for the next person to bring awareness, and then that's where the community comes from. So I just think it's like passing the baton type, if that makes sense. Like you run the race, you do these big things so the next person can have it quote unquote easier type, if that makes sense though. So just the whole passing the baton for like the next generation of kids or just even older adults saying, okay, hey, if this person who stutters did it, so can I. So thank you.
Kara, Maya, I love that. And that segues perfect into my next question. I was going to ask if any of our older mm, generation had any advice that they would either give their younger selves or any of us. If you have any wisdom to share, I feel like we would all love to hear it. Bill?
Oh, there we go. Yes, I'm. Few know that I'm 71 years old, but now you know. Um, but as the years go by and you experience certain things and you put yourself out there, um, you begin to adopt a feeling of who am I? I'm more than just my speech. I'm a family person. And I think that we become comfortable with ourselves as we should. And when we love ourselves, it might sound selfish, but we love others too, and we have that love to give. And we are worth it. Every one of us is more than worth it. And there is no one like us, and we are who we are. And without us, the world would be emptier. So if we adapt that and adapt that feeling for ourselves and, just relinquish that fear, and that's hard to do, easier said than done. But I think as we go on, we adapt certain techniques, certain things. People become very understanding of us because they look past us other than just speech. They look at all of us. So I think that if we can adapt that, and again, it's easier said than done. Once we start to feel good, then everything else kind of flows. So that's my angle of it. Thank you.
Where I was Bill, right? There you go.
I'm Bill.
You went off my screen, and I was trying to
Oh,
remember. Like, oh no! Thank you so much for.
oh, I was hiding over here.
Thank you again.
Yeah, yeah. You're welcome.
Paula, did you have your hand up? Oh no.
There we go. Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Paula Campbell Schwab, and I live in Houston, Texas. And I am a person who stutters. I am 73 years old, so I'm older than Bill. It's okay. Bill, you shared a beautiful message. That's pretty much what I was going to say. But my journey, my regrets as I look back in my youth, my teenage years, my young adulthood years, is that I wish I had learned to be more authentically real with myself and with others. I pretty much just hid my stuttering, and I pretended a lot of times that I was a fluent person, and I really wasn't. But I just didn't have the self-acceptance, the self-love, the courage, all of that to be real. And as I look back, I wish I had started my journey on self-love and self-acceptance of who I was and my feelings about stuttering and using my voice a lot sooner. But I think I was just trying to please other people as I was growing up. I was trying hard to be that fluent girl that my mom and dad wanted. I was trying hard to be accepted by my fluent friends growing up. So I think now at the age of 73, I am more real, more authentically Paula than I ever have been. And it is such a freeing feeling. Yeah, I still stutter, I still block, and occasionally I don't step up to the plate when I should, but I am learning to accept me, accept who I am, and even better to love me. And how can you love oneself when you're not being who you really need to be? So it's been a journey, and I'm so glad that I found the NSA. The NSA has helped me in so many, many ways. It has connected me to the most wonderful people in the world, and I am so impressed by their courage, by stepping out there, by finding their voice, and by just not giving up. And that's the way I feel now. Thank you.
Hi, Paula. Oh
Who
my
said that?
God.
Hi, Karen.
Me, you're scared. You, you, I liked how you said, um, authentically real with myself. I had to put it on my paper because that was powerful.
Well,
Y-
good. I'm glad.
y- and thank you for sharing that because I feel I feel I feel like when we like embrace who we are, like e, e, have- we're just like e, and happy like within ourselves, you know. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you, Karen. And yeah, Maddie, thanks.
I see Keith. Hi, Keith.
Yeah, I'm Keith. I'm from Wisconsin. I can relate to a lot of things that Paula said. Couple thoughts. Uh, one is that, looking back on when I was younger, I kind of realized that the biggest bully who was telling me that I couldn't do things and it was worthless and all those negative thoughts, the biggest bully who picked on me was a guy named Keith. Yeah. um, most people weren't um, that negative about me, and it just took me a long time to realize that. And one other thing that um, I did when I was young was I gave my stuttering a lot more credit than it deserved for problems in my life. You know, um, and it's like with dating. I didn't bother asking any girls out because I didn't think they'd be interested in me. Um, uh, but that I kind of felt like it was mostly because I stutter, but you know, there are a lot of other guys who are nervous about asking girls out, like every guy. It's just part of being human. I was having those feelings because I was human. There's a time that somebody said that they would, they had some social anxiety about going to some social event. And my first thought was, why do you have social anxiety? You're fluent. It just didn't occur to me that it's somebody who's fluent would have um, social anxiety. And it's kind of dawned on me that these feelings aren't so much because I stutter, it's because I'm human. Maybe more intense because I stutter, but it's not solely because I stutter.
um and does anyone else can have and social anxiety? Because I do too.
I relate to that so much. There's been so many times in my life where I'm like, why do you have an issue? You can speak fluent. And I know that's probably so wrong of me to think, but I have thought that too. I'm like, well, if I could just speak uh, but fluent, I could do this, this, and this, and this. But would I really? And or is that just like like you said, we are. That's just a, a human feeling. And I wonder, why do we put our stutter with all with a lot of the negatives, like just like, oh, well, I could do this if I didn't have this, or why not say, oh, I can do this because I stutter? Like, why do we always have to put it as a negative, you know? And that just really that made me think it, uh, Judith?
Can you hear me? Okay. My name's Judith Eckhart, and I'm talking to you from Tucson, where I live most of the year now, but I'm primarily from the Midwest, from Wisconsin, Illinois. So as as a geriatric stutterer, let's put it this way, I'm probably the most geriatric here. I almost consider myself to be a history book, a history book of stuttering therapies. And in my life, when I was a child, I got introduced to Wendell Johnson and his bouncing therapy. And then later on in the Midwest, I was introduced to Charles Van Riper and his kind of therapy. And my whole life was focused upon therapy. And if I regret anything, it's I spend so darn much time trying to become a fluent person. I really regret that. So what happened, if I have one big regret in my life, it's because I thought I needed to be a fluent person to be able to get a PhD, and I never pursued that. My instructor in college at the time, she had, and probably my advisor, she had gone through Charles Van Riper's program, and she had so much fluency, and I knew I would never get that. I could practice 10 hours a day and I'd never get there. So I ended up having a great career. Um, a- as a speech and language pathologist and as a fluency specialist. But it wasn't until the 90s that I got involved with John Albach and Michael Sugarman. And that group of people from the state of Washington. And from them, what I learned the most is that I needed to advertise. I needed to do voluntary stuttering. And guess what happened? I got fluency. It greatly improved my speech. So now I'm just going to fast forward a little bit here. We bought our first house here in Tucson in 2001. So what was going on then is fluency shaping was very popular. And what happened, I ended up in an area that really wanted fluency. So I also kept working with the people from Washington. So, and I hope you can find some humor in this. But I had been a chapter leader in the Chicago area, along with Jim McClure. I had the northern suburbs, he had the western suburbs. And then when I came to Tucson, I wanted to pick up the NSA chapter that had been here, but because I didn't believe in fluency shaping, I didn't know where to put it. So I put it into a library. I couldn't go to the university because I was afraid they'd do a fluency count on me. So anyways, what I did, because at that point in time, people kind of knew who I was and what I had done, they would invite me to lecture. So I'd be invited to talk to the stuttering class at the U of A. I could tell they really didn't like me a whole lot. And I thought, you know what, you guys, I'm going to stutter up a storm for you. So I would give my lecture. They would have had a great time doing fluency counts. And I did the same thing when I was asked to present to the Arizona Speech and Hearing Association as one of their speakers. I used so much voluntary stuttering that I was just awful. I probably should have been punished for it. But anyways, gradually I broke down the people at the U of A, and finally they offered me room at their clinic to run the NSA chapter. But if I regret anything, it's the fact that I chased that fluency god way, way, way too long in my life. And what gave me fluency and better communication was just advertising and voluntary stuttering. Anyways, that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Judith. I'm trying to learn how to do voluntary stutter, but I'm having a hard time remembering to do it. Does that make sense? I'm like, okay, well, I could have done it there, but then I'm like, well, now I'm already stuttering. Do you have any advice on how to start that to get into voluntary stuttering?
Probably to select messages that you want to say and actually put voluntary stuttering into them. That's what I would, start small and then you can gradually expand it. But as you use it, you've got to, it really does give you fluency or better communication.
Thank you. Cora? I hope I said your name right.
Yes, hi, I'm Cora from California. I love what everybody said. Everybody, it's so cool. Yeah, Judith, you're awesome.
I
Amazing.
think we met in Denver, didn't we? I'm
Yeah,
quite sure.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's good to see you again. I just wanted to go back to what Keith said. I've never heard that you could be your own biggest bully, and I think that's a good awareness. And my biggest regret is that I always pick the wrong kind of good guys because of my stuttering. And now since I know that and I've grown from that, I'm not even dating right now because I don't want to pick the wrong guys. Um, Also, I could relate to what someone said earlier about not having any friend or like a few friends. Like I'm the biggest loner because of my stuttering. But I also like what Keith said is that like we're all human and like our stuttering intensifies all those emotions. So this is a great topic. Oh, and like Paula said, I could spend 10 hours a day on fluency and I would never be fluent.
Thank you so much for sharing, Cora. And now I saw Bill's in hand first.
Hello, I'm Bill Dunbar. I would like to ask Judith, what is voluntary stuttering? Because I've been volunteering my whole life. what I mean, if you could,
Voluntary stuttering is what you're hearing me do now.
okay,
My name is Judith Eckhart.
I see. So purposely stuttering,
Pardon me?
purposely stuttering.
Yes, purposely stuttering. And just start small and just add it to things. But
Mm.
I put it into a lot of other things besides my speech. I had business cards printed. Well, in fact, my email address is JJJUDITHE. So, everybody knows that I stutter. If I used to do this workshop for NSA that was called Avoiding. And I used to have when I'd go to the convention, I'd have 300 pens printed, and each pen had my name spelled in a stuttering way.
Wow.
Judith. So, I really advertised it, not just verbally, but visually also.
Yeah. Well, I grew up with fluency terrorism. In other words, the speech pathologists would count, every single time. And
Oh,
so, I had to
people
be
are
fluent here. Oh my goodness. And they said, well, you had 24 blocks during your speech. And I thought, oh man, I'm committing, speech murder or, you know, so, so I became somewhat fluent by, you know, I have a television production company. So sometimes I'm on TV. Sometimes I'm actually talking to many, many, many people. So after thousands of times of doing certain things, um, I sort of now this might not work for everyone, but I sort of remapped. I sort of actually, looked at and remapped my brain, I think. And so I developed a habit of, just fluency. And also, going back to it, you need to love yourself. Yeah, that's hard to do. That's really hard to do. And to all of you guys who had problems with dating, yep, you were probably your own bully because there's someone for everyone, no matter how old you are, and they're just waiting whether you stutter or not. I began dating at 17, and I don't know, I just got right out there. And, but to just gain that confidence. Now, I'm not saying that I was totally confident, I was scared to death. But to accept yourself, to say, this is who I am, takes a long, long time. So anyway, I got rid of that fluency terrorism. That's my own, um, actually, how can I say, my own acronym. And I just became more fluent only because of those practices, just to accept self. And if I have a block, so what? Who cares? I'll have many, many blocks. But that was then. This is now, and I just keep going. So that's something very, very new that the NSA has really helped me with after all of these years, that it's okay. And as we all know, and you too, Judith, that no one is 100% fluid. We can achieve throughout the populace at 98, but we always have us and then helper words. That's just who we are. But we look at it as more of that, oh no, they're going to demonize me for this, but we're doing it ourselves. Just let it go. If you stutter, you stutter. If you don't, you don't. People love you for you. I guarantee that. And they'll admire you whether you stutter or not. And if you can accept that, and if you had a survey, people would say, oh, I love who you are. So there you go. Thank you.
maybe if I could add one more comment, I found it interesting when I went to my 50th high school reunion in Wausau, Wisconsin. And for that particular class that had 400 students, I was elected secretary. Well, you stutter when you have to read minutes, So obviously I had a stutter at that point in time, but what was interesting to me 50 years later, nobody remembered that I stuttered. That was so
Right.
fascinating.
They always thought you were shy.
Nobody remembered that I was
No
a
one remembers
stutterer.
that. Except us.
One guy said to me, the president of the class said, "You're not as tall as you used to be."
Okay.
So,
That's a gravity thing.
So anyways, there's been some humor with all this, but
Oh my
nobody
God,
remembered that
yeah.
I stuttered.
Yeah. And to those professors in school, Caitlin, that told you that you couldn't be in graduate, they were not teaching. They were not at all. Not at all. And you go, girl, because, I'm glad you jumped over that because you're worth it.
Thank you, Bill.
That's it.
Thank you.
You are most welcome.
Arnetta, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something before we close. Speaking primarily to the older stutterers on this call, Paula was the first one who I heard, mention the word acceptance. And for me, um, acceptance is my stuttering journey. And I can tell you, it took years for me to really come to terms with my stuttering and accepting it and to be able to move on with my life however I wanted on my own terms. But that was not easy. It took a lot. But once I finally made that point to just accept it as who I was, it was what I did. And that old saying, it is what it is. And that's what I used to repeat a lot. And that's what really got me over that hill. And, to be really able to be comfortable and to speak up and I've heard church mentioned a couple of times, but you're called on to read a scripture. Can you say a prayer? This kind of thing. I years ago I would say to the pastor, "Do not do that. Don't do that to me." Now I don't have a problem at all with speaking out, but that's because I'm older and I have finally accepted it just acceptance. So I want to thank all of you who mentioned that word acceptance because that's what it really boils down to. Thank you.
Acceptance is the key. Acceptance.
Well, we are 2 minutes out from the end of tonight's session. I will bust my way through and be the one to wrap up here. Is there anybody that has not shared that would like to have the last word? Rock?
Yeah. I would just like to say, thank you, Maddie and Karen. So proud of you guys. This is awesome. And it will. My big regret is not speaking up. So figured I'd speak up real quick. And wonderful to see everyone.
Thank you, Rock. I just want to let people know that this session obviously it was recorded. It'll be available in about a week or so for those of you that would like to look back on it. There was some real gems shared tonight. And I would also like to shout out Maddie and Karen for their first time doing an NSA Connect session. You did great. Wonderful job for first time facilitators. We're also happy for you. Great topic, great session, and just thank you very much.